For those who don't know me, I'm David Knoll and I chair the UIA Progressive Appeal. And I also acknowledge that we meet on the lands of the Gadigal clan of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to elders past and present, and thank Rabbi George Mordecai for welcoming us to this beautiful synagogue. Learned rabbis and friends, we are enormously honoured to have as our distinguished guest this evening Rabbi Yael Vurgan. Rabbi Yael began her rabbinate in the Shar HaNegev, adjacent to the Gaza Strip Regional Council, in 2018. Before 7 October, she built a love of Judaism across towns and kibbutzim, working with all ages, providing spiritual and religious services tailored to the needs of each kibbutz and community, and she'll tell you more about that. Above all, she created a multitude of personal relationships and was considered a member of the team of the regional municipality, given an office, and by these wonderful secular southern Israels described as our rabbi. After the horrors of October 7, Yael has been a first responder, worked intensively, tirelessly with her congregation, as she will refer to it, the members and residents of 10 kibbutzim, most of whom were evacuated to locations as far north as Tiberias, as far south as the Dead Sea and Mizpeh Ramon. But I should stop here and let you hear from Rabbi Yael. Please make her welcome.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, the UPJ, for inviting me to come here. I'm very honored to talk to you today, and my thanks are also much wider than just being able to address you tonight. It's, of course, for all the support that I'm getting, that my colleagues are getting from you, for the very meaningful and important work that we're doing in Israel before and after. I want to share with you my personal experience, but I think that through my story, you will hear the voices of many others. So it is a unique story because of the unique position that I have, and I will explain why it's so unique. But I'm really not the only one, and my story is just one of many, many stories, and I'm sure that you will get a wider picture, although I'm going to take you inside to some specifics of the realities. I have to tell you that in the last decade, the Israeli Reform movement had grown so much, it doubled the amount of congregations, and so instead of 20-something, we have 54 congregations in Israel right now. And for me, being 40 plus, starting to go to rabbinic school, and nothing in my youth or the way I grew up, nothing indicated I'm going to end up being a Reform rabbi. If I had known, if somebody would tell me when I was 20 that I will be a Reform rabbi, I would crack. It wasn't something I was planning, but along the way of spiritual search that I was at, you know, I came across this, and being involved in all kind of NGO in Israel, that was my work before, I found the perfect connection for me to know that I could engage in a very obligated Jewish stream to the Jewish life and identity, and also to, human values that I cared about, social justice, human rights, and all of that. And I don't have to give up any part of my personality to be that. And that was a revelation for me. And since then, I belong to the Israeli Reform movement. And when I was ordained on November 2018, the movement suggested that I would go to Shar HaNegev Regional Council community. And you know what? I didn't want that job at the beginning, okay? Because it's so unordinary. I wanted, we have regular communities in Israel. We have mainly in the big cities, in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in Haifa, in Ra'anana. I live in the city of Modi'in, so even in my city, there are more classical, forms of congregations that are synagogue-based, okay? And I thought I would be something like that. And but it happened that I did take this position, and a few months into that position, I was in love with the area, in love with my job, in love with the people, and I was going around telling people, whoever I meet, that I'm the happiest rabbi on earth. And I'm going to try to explain that to you. I will explain a little bit. What does it mean to be a rabbi in a regional council? What is a regional council, right? It's a country area where there are no big cities, because cities are their own municipalities. So it's a municipality of not one place, of many little places, okay? So in Israel, most of them would be in the north or in the south of Israel, right? The center is more cities and then in the edges. And about a decade ago, the Israeli Reform Movement decided to send some rabbis to work in municipalities like that are not cities, okay? And some people were saying, oh, this is a weird idea. Why would you do that? It's such a small population. You know what? Today, I think there's not one person that will not admit that it was a wonderful, a very important idea. Because the work that we are doing today, most of the people who are evacuated from their homes are either from the north or from the south. And the fact that there are rabbis that know them and that they connect to as their rabbis, and it's us, okay, enables us to do this amazing work that we're doing. And so I'm a part of, so out of 54 communities in Israel, 13 of them, like me, are rabbis working in regional councils. And that means people sometimes ask me, so where's your synagogue? Ha, I don't have a synagogue, okay? I do not have a synagogue. What I do is I work in 10 kibbutzim. My region is a fairly small region. There are rabbis working in regions with 30 kibbutzim, okay? Mine has 10. It's still a lot. And I just go from one to another, and I knock on the yellow gate of the kibbutz, and I go in. And I do activity with the kibbutz members, and I'm sure some of you know that the population in the kibbutzim, especially in this area, but in many kibbutzim, is very, very secular. So people will usually reject anything that smells like religious to them. And growing up as a secular myself, I have empathy for that. I understand them. I understand their fears because the dominancy of the Orthodox stream in Israel and the way that actually we don't have freedom of religion, for Jews in Israel. In many senses, the Orthodox system is controlling many areas of our lives. I understand their fear, and this is why I have to approach these people. If I want to get their trust, if I want them to really agree to connect to some meaningful Jewish content, I have to be smart and careful and gentle. I'm moving on to show you the logo on the right on the top. Okay, it says Kehilat Sha'ar HaNegev, the community of Sha'ar HaNegev. So you're going to ask, so what is the community if you said you don't have a synagogue, right? So nobody that I serve actually signed up to be a member of my community, but I treat them all as my community. So all the 9,000 residents of this municipality are, for me, my congregates. It doesn't mean that I try to force anything on them or that they have to come, but I want all of them to know that they have this option. It's a correction to what I experienced, that I didn't know there are options. And I want every Israeli to know that it's okay if they choose to go to an Orthodox ceremony or rabbi, but they have another option, and I just want them to know. I want it to be accessible to them. So what do you see in this logo? You see this fragile, gentle red flower that it took me forever to learn the name in English, anemone, right? It's called anemone. In Hebrew, it's called kalanit. And why is that the logo of my community? I will show you in a minute. Okay, that's the reason why the logo of my congregation is the anemone flower, because 1 month a year, every February, every year, the whole area looks like that. And the next one also looks like that. And this is why people from all of Israel at that time, which has just ended now, the month of February, come to the area. To see the flowers, to take pictures, and I want to show the next one now, to say that I'm dedicating this speech to the mayor, the dear mayor of Sha'ar HaNegev, Ophir Lipstein, who was one of the first people to be murdered on October 7th. He started being the mayor the same time I started being a rabbi, so it's 5 and something years. He's the person I knew the best from all the victims of this attack. And I miss him so much. And really, every time, I can't even look at the picture because I can't believe he's not alive. He was such a great partner for me, except just being a wonderful person and a wonderful mayor, I think. Also, just really being pluralist, really appreciating our work, allowing us to, to do all that we do and coming and talking in our events and being present in our events and really saying, I love the fact that the rabbi of this region is a Reform rabbi and a progressive rabbi, and just this wonderful person and a great supporter of our work. I miss him a lot, and I'm dedicating this to his memory. Also, he was the one who initiated something called Darom Adom, the Red South, which is a festival every February. He initiated that because it's so beautiful. There would be a festival every weekend, there would be events and fairs, and people would buy local products and come, and there will be tours and everything. This year, they canceled all of the events of the Darom Adom, Red South, except a march to his memory that we have done with some progressive members coming from abroad and participating with us. And so, for the residents of the area that I work with, the word Adom, red, has many, many meanings. There's the good red that we just saw with the flowers, and then there's the bad red. What's the bad red? When the alarm because they're so close to the fence, the alarm when there's a rocket attack is not wiu, it says Tseva Adom, color red. And so you say the word red, and it's immediately either the enemy or the alarm. That's what I think about. And when I started working in the area, people presented to me and said, you know, we live 95% in heaven and 5% in hell. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, this is going to answer your question, okay? So this is a map of October 7th. You can see, I'm sure you know the Gaza Strip, where it is in Israel. And you can see the city of Sderot here. It's actually the middle of my region, but it's a municipality by itself because it's a city, right? But all my kibbutzim, which not all of them are mentioned here, the kibbutzim I work with are in this area. I have one here called Erez. There's an Erez crossing. And then you can see Mefalsim, Kfar Aza, Nachal Oz. So Nachal Oz, you see how close it is? It's right here. When you stand on the fence of Nachal Oz, you can see eye to this neighborhood of Gaza. That's how close it is. This is the area. South of where I work, there's another huge region called Eshkol. So some of the kibbutzim, you might have heard the names that being of victims from October 7th would be from that area as well. The purple area is all where the terrorists reached. They reached really far. Look, Ofakim here, it's really far. So they got all the way out there. This is all area that was attacked. Next one. This is taken from Kibbutz Kfar Aza looking towards Aza. So you can see the proximity. You can see this is one of the gates that were broken in the attack. And you know, I'm standing inside the kibbutz taking this picture so you see how close it is. Next, just another way of showing it. This is their field, and that's it. That's the border. Right after that. And then another one. Okay, now I want to introduce you to one dear person. His name is Dani Rachamim. He lives in Nachal Oz. He was the spokesman of the kibbutz for a while. So every group that came to visit the area, he would give a tour by the fence. I would show them the Gaza Strip. And he would tell them how much the government invested in building the smart fence and above the ground and under the ground, concrete and that, and I don't know what, electric, whatever, okay? A lot of effort to build this protection in a fence, and in half an hour it all broke, right? So this whole conception that fence can give you security kind of broke that day. Okay, next. And what I want to show you about Dani is coming from a traditional family. He got connected with progressive Judaism later in his life. And he's my partner in Nachal Oz. So when I want to do Kabbalat Shabbat in his kibbutz, he's organizing it. He's preparing the members club. So as I told you, no synagogue, right? We meet in a members club. It's a very informal, way of, being together and having Kabbalat Shabbat. And you see him here with a chumash because he's the one saying the Dvar Torah, the drash. Right? One of the things that I found out that if I want to have my congregants involved, I have to get off the stage that I don't have, no stage, but also I give up the stage really easily because, I get a lot from the fact that he's doing the drush and not me, right? Although I'm the professional and I'm officiating it, but I get involvement of the people and they want to do stuff. And he has what to say and he has beautiful things to say, and many other people, I want to get them engaged. And so he's giving Drat Torah. A little bit more of Danny because he's such a sweet person. Okay, so this is Danny's daughter with a black shirt, and that's her partner. And this was the first lesbian wedding in Kibbutz Nachal Oz. And this is a Kabbalat Shabbat we had in the members club. It was June, so it was Pride Kabbalat Shabbat, and we were greeting the couple under the talit. Her partner, Naama, came from a traditional family where her parents did accept her, but she was feeling, because I told you that's how it is in Israel. She felt all her life that she can't really be involved and committed Jew if she's a lesbian. So it's either she has to choose, right? She can't really be a part of Jewish rituals, and she had to put it aside. And when she found out that the progressive Judaism offers her to be included, and not just be included, to kind of celebrate the variety and be pluralistic, and she can be a part of that. She was moved to tears to find out that, and it was a revelation for her to come to a Pride Kabbalat Shabbat and feel that her identity is included, and she can be a part of it, and you know what? She became my partner to doing Pride Kabbalat Shabbat in the area. And also, there's a baby now for this wonderful couple. And so, we decorate the members club with pride flags, with the movement logo. And she's my partner, and I'm doing this with her. She knows the community, she brings the people, and I bring the content and the music and the words, and we do it together. And you see why I'm in love? Do you understand now? These are just the sweetest people, okay? But I do want to take you to a very special day. That's October 3rd, 2023, okay? And what you see here is a group of seniors from the area. I got to fulfill a dream of mine for many years, and that's to officiate a late bar bat mitzvah for people in their 80s, okay? Except Danny, he's 70-something, but most of them are in their 80s and they never had. The women, of course, never had because it wasn't common or even an option for women. And the men, you see the one with the light blue shirt, that's Yoki. He's from Kibbutz Gevim. He's 89, okay? And one time he came to me and he said, I never had a bar mitzvah. Why? Because it was Independence War and, he didn't get to do one. And the one on the left, Igal, he's 86 and never had, just his family was so secular they didn't even want to, have a bar mitzvah. And I mean Aliyah Torah and all of that, like traditional bar mitzvah, not a party, right? And so I told him, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it now. It's never too late, right? And they got so enthusiastic about it, and I opened this group of, 3 men and 3 women learning together for 3 months in the regional senior club, which I have good cooperation with. And we studied, and then this event, and we wanted this event to be before Simchat Torah, because we're gonna connect these people for first time in their lives to Torah. Let's do it right before Simchat Torah. And that's the event, and it was so joyful, and it was so beautiful. It was Chol HaMoed Sukkot, so the kids, their grandkids could come because they were on vacation, and their families came, and many, many people from the area came, and we celebrated. It was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful. And at the end, we took a picture in the sukkah outside, and that was the last picture of the activity before October 7th. It says on the orange sign, V'samachta b'chagecha, you should rejoice in your holiday, and we did rejoice at that time. October 7th itself, I was supposed to officiate another bar mitzvah, this time for a boy, in one of the moshavim in the area, and because it was a late bar mitzvah, it was like a mincha at noon, at 7 o'clock, I was still getting myself out of bed, and I wasn't aware. And then the mother of the bar mitzvah started calling me again and again. I saw my phone ringing, and I answered her, and she said, "Are you aware of what's going on?" I wasn't, okay? And she started telling me, at the beginning it sounded like just a rocket attack, and, unfortunately the people are so used to it. So they say, we'll go into the safe room, we'll come out, and we'll continue our plans. It's not, at the beginning, nobody realized that this is a whole other scale of event. With the hours, and at 8:30, we already got the message by WhatsApp that Ophir Lipson was murdered. So at that point, it was clear that something completely different is happening. And really from that moment on, as a rabbi serving these communities, I was going out of my mind because I'm not with them physically. I'm not there. But I'm the rabbi, so what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? So I was sitting for days, all the first 2-3 days, on my phone. I'm telling you, about 50 phone calls every day, okay, just to try to locate the people. And remember, I told you, I used the first 5 years of my job in the area with the movement, making all these personal connections. That's what really enabled me on those days to follow up with these people and to see what happened to them. And I started calling. Some of them couldn't answer the phone. They had no receivance. Some of them were corresponding with me from the safe room. Some people in Kfar Aza and Nachal Oz were sitting in the safe room for 18 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. And all these hours, we're trying to understand. Now, they don't know exactly what's going on. They hear the shooting outside, but they don't know the large picture of what was going on in the area. So it's a complete chaos, and we're trying to collect information and see what is happening to each kibbutz. Some of the kibbutzim in my area managed to chase away the terrorists that were coming to the fence of the kibbutz. Most of the kibbutzim have something that is called civil protection group, civil guard, okay, which is made of civilians that have weapon or that have armory and they go to take the weapon. Okay, the army was not present at all for the first hours and sometimes half a day. And these civilian guards saved the kibbutzim. They went out, brave people, went out and actually fought the terrorists. And in about 7 of the kibbutzim, they chased them away. The 2 kibbutzim that got terrorists in are Nachal Oz and Kfar Aza that I was describing, telling you about them. Okay, and in those kibbutzim, again, these civilians, brave heroes, went out and had this fight. And some of them paid with their lives, but also saved many, many lives. And so the people of the area, when I called to ask them every day, how are you doing? They said, how can we do? We're going from one funeral to another. That's what they did, okay? And this is one funeral that I officiate. I didn't officiate a lot or not all of them. Sometimes I participated in ceremonies I didn't officiate just because I wanted to be there with the people. But for me, as a rabbi, I officiated many, many funerals before that, but never of more than one person. And most of the funerals this time were from more than one coffin. Here there's a couple, a man and a wife. Sometimes it would be a woman and a daughter, or sometimes a whole family together. And that's something I wasn't prepared to. How do you officiate a funeral like that? And so all my rabbinic role kind of shifted in a terrible way, and I had to think everything from new and from fresh, how to adjust myself to the new situation, to just learn from the people what their needs are now, where are they, what's going on. A lot of listening, a lot of consulting just by being with them, just the constant presence to hold their hand and to hug them without even saying anything, because sometimes, what do you say? And I remember one woman I was calling, because I was always calling people to see how they are, and I told her what to do, I want to do something. She said, nothing to do. She tells me, you have to understand there's nothing to do, okay? So I didn't stop working from that minute, but this constant question, how can we help the people? What can we do? Okay, so one of the things I continue to do are Kabbalot Shabbat. And this is October 13th. It's in the north of Israel, in Emek Israel, in a kibbutz called Mizra. They absorbed the evacuees from kibbutz Gevim, one of my kibbutzim. I didn't even think, it was the first Friday. I didn't think I'm going to do a Kabbalat Shabbat, but they called me and said, let's do, okay? Everybody was so shocked and so confused. And this Kabbalat Shabbat was, coming out of nothing. The day before, I knew I was doing it, right? So you can't prepare a lot in advance. You have to just be there, right? And you know what? Although I told you these are very secular people, I felt that Kabbalat Shabbat, every song we sang was a prayer, a real prayer. We sang Nomi Shemer, classical Israeli song, which we did before also, but every word sounds differently, and people are completely emotional, so the kids are playing around, laughing because they're kids, and their parents are sitting with us and crying and singing, and I felt that they really want to pray. Even if they don't call it this way, it's okay. They really want, because they're so traumatized, and when we're traumatized, we lose the words to describe what we're feeling. And so I realized, slowly, that part of my role is to give them words. So they already hang those signs on the houses. These are things that once you see, you cannot forget. And, looking at the eyes of the young people who survived and seeing how sad they are, I couldn't even understand what they were going through. Only when I actually walked there and saw these sites, I could start to maybe understand what they were going through. So it says in Hebrew, "Ze lo shalem biladehem," it's not whole without them. Hachatufim, the hostages, are in our minds. Remember the anemone flower? So see what they made. The municipality have made this new logo when the flower is bleeding. And it's a bleeding wound. And it's something that I go to sleep with every day. I wake up with this every day, thinking of these people. These are Ziv and Gali Berman, are twins from Kfar Aza, twin boys. Emily, Doron, they belong to the young adult group of Kfar Aza. The young adults in the kibbutzim, when they free from the army and come back to the kibbutz gives them like a studio, a small apartment to live separately from their families. And so there's a whole little neighborhood. I'll show you pictures in a minute. And they live very close to the fence. So the young people of Kfar Aza, most of them are either killed or abducted at that day, and not many survivors. Keith Siegel is also from Kfar Aza. He has a brother in one of our Reform congregations, so we know this family really, really well. We're with them all those months. And these two men are from Nachal Oz. They're in their 40s. They have families, children. And what you see in the middle, the person holding the sign, is the father of Omri Miran. This is Tzachi, this is Omri. And this is one of endless demonstrations that we have to cry out to bring them home. And a lot of times I find myself, even as a rabbi, just standing there next to them, holding the sign. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to officiate. It's their events. They're leading it, and I'm just there with them. And this means so much. People are referring to me as the rabbi, although, it's not something that I don't use this title so much. But now people are even more, and the rabbi that they know is a progressive rabbi. They don't have another one. Some of my congregates tell me, we don't know if we're ever going to be able to believe in peace again. And it's okay for them to say it. I can hear it. But I feel that the part of my role now is to encourage them to think about the future in better terms than what we know today. And to imagine a better future for them, for their children, for their grandchildren. I'm ending. Let's move on. And I just want to show you one thing that for me is a symbol of going back to life. Because the World Union for Progressive Judaism have decided, in these times specifically, to donate us, the congregation, a Torah scroll, which I can't tell you how moving this gesture is for me. I do need a Torah scroll, but it's much more than that. I need the scroll. At the fact that they're giving it to us in those times, I can't tell you how encouraging that was. We had this amazing ceremony. We did it in Shfaim, where the evacuees of Kfar Aza is. Can you move next, please? We dedicated the scroll to the memory of Phil Liebstein, the mayor. So the woman holding the scroll is his mother. And I was really a little bit scared. I didn't know how these people are going to connect to the whole idea of a Torah scroll. You know what? She didn't want to leave it. She was hugging it so hard. And then we did another ceremony with the widows and the mothers of the civil guard team. And again, they were mostly women to see them so naturally, holding the Torah scroll, connecting to it. I asked them, when we did the ceremony of passing on the Torah, I told them, it says about the Torah, Etz Chaim Hi. It's a tree of life. So tell us what gives you, where do you get your forces of life from? Okay? What came out of these women, I'm going to start crying if I tell you, okay? It was so moving. It was so powerful. And so it made me realize that really our contribution to their lives now, okay, is so huge in the way that we really bring something that is bringing back life. And just last one, almost last one. Oh, these are, this is Ophir's wife, Vered. This is Liora and her daughter, and another woman and her daughter. These are the widowers of the heroes. And this is a girl from Kibbutz Gevim, and her two mothers. And the mother on the left her mother was murdered in another kibbutz. But still they decided to have her bat mitzvah. And I was so proud of her and of them that they chose to go on with life. It was really fresh. It's 3 months after. They're still mourning. But we had this ceremony, and she read Torah, and we celebrated and cried for many, many reasons at the same time. And I feel that now this is what I can give them. It's all these meaningful, powerful, moving, emotional events that reconnect them to life and to the powers of life. And the last thing, and then you can talk, is I'm closing a circle with the anemone flower that we started with. Remember? Okay. So the Darom Adom, this festival, the Red South, is hanging all these signs around saying "Porchim mechadash," reblooming. And some kibbutzim have these signs. I don't know if you can read it well. It says, "Hanegev odiyeh poreach." The Negev will continue, will rebloom again. And that's a comfort. And I want to tell you, I truly, truly believe in the resilience and the powers of life of these people. The people of this area are unique, amazing people. They have the power to overcome this.
This evening is part of the UIA Progressive Appeal. The work we support is the work that you've heard Rabbi Yael and her colleagues undertake. I can share with you, because this is not our first event, that every single donor who's handed in a pledge card has increased from that which they gave last year, in some cases double and triple. Please give generously. Thank you.